What's up? What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. It's Takara Williams. You know I'm with the GOAT.
Coach and realtor, Coach Harris, Carla Harris. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to the crossover. This is where we talk about the transition. What does it mean to go from one level or one endeavor and cross that bad boy over into something else? So this is what we do. We thank our supporters for always joining and supporting us.
Yes. We got that. Hit them with that Hardaway crossover and still advance, and still get those buckets on the other side of whatever you decide to do. Cross them over and keep moving.
Yep, absolutely. And we got a special guest coming in tonight, Fran Harris. Can't wait to have her on the stage. But we do want to talk about the current events that's happening in our world right now.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
So, starting off, man, it's just heart goes out to the families of the victims of the elementary school mass shooting. It's such a sad situation for our country to constantly be having to have replay over and over and over again. The
Yeah.
question becomes like, when are we going to take some form of action and truly do something about it?
I mean, the hardest thing is to realize that you are in a hunted species. Like our black and brown and beige people are hunted, and it's sad to live that life. I look at this thing twofold, that our community are hunted and hated by so many, but I also look at it, and we need to look at it not just about gun control. I hope we can look at it about bullying. That's something that a lot of people aren't talking about, because a lot of these individuals who take these actions, they are bullied. They feel isolated. They're removed. They're pushed away. They're not accepted into society or into their schools. And it tends to be these younger age. We're going 18, 19-year-olds, most of them. And so somewhere there's a discord or disconnect with their peers and with them being accepted because they're different. I don't like to use the word weird. They're just different. And we want to encourage people to know that it's okay to be different and to accept people for their differences and not to isolate them or to ridicule them or bully them because they're different.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a very great perspective there. And again, hearts goes out to the families of the victims that were involved in that. It's just a sad situation. We
Yeah, I
we as a
mean,
country have to do better.
we have to do better because no one should take their child to school assuming that they're coming to pick their child up the same way they dropped them off, not to pick them up in that manner. So it's really sad, and we definitely have to do better to protect our children and to protect. And you talk about teachers. We also have to talk about the teachers who lost their lives, and I'm sure they probably lost their lives trying to protect those little children that they were tasked to educate.
Yeah.
And so it's sad that our teachers and our educators across the country are not compensated for the risk that they take every day just coming into the building to deal with the different dynamics. And as an educator for 29 years, you come upon a lot of times when you could be attacked by these children, because of you want to correct their behavior that they feel like they should be able to do or their entitlement. So I would also like to bring up that not only the gun control, the bullying, but we have to do something more for our educators to protect them and to show them appreciation for what they do. They risk so much and bring home so little. A lot of them can't even afford to make home purchases or afford to live a certain lifestyle. So we definitely need to look out for our educators. So I hope the country, the governors, the legislator will do something on their behalf, on our behalf, I guess I can say as well.
Yep. Very valid points. Very valid points. But without further ado, we're gonna cross over into what you guys are here for. Have a special guest coming on, and I'm gonna tell you, I wore my Texas A&M Aggie apparel just for this guest. Nah, just kidding. It's all love. Fran Harris, welcome to the crossover.
You are wrong for that. You are so wrong for that. But I expected that. I totally expected that. So somebody's paying attention.
Hey, there we
Hey,
go.
there you go. Pay attention.
Now, I noticed that you're drinking a drink right there. Before I get into asking you to let the people know who you are, please tell them what you're drinking.
I am drinking my sports drink, Electra, which is a natural, all natural functional hydration beverage that I launched last year on Shark Tank. It is a better for you option to what is out there on the market. So very excited about Electra. We're like a year and a half years old.
That's
Man,
awesome.
Your sports drink. See that I don't know if there was
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like boss
your
lady,
sports drink.
right? Boss lady. I mean, I'm sure you probably, we want to say you're a trailblazer, the only African American female on that side of the business. That's amazing.
That's crazy though, right, y'all? I mean, as much as we're in front in sports, and as much as we spend on sports and apparel and all this stuff, you would think that we would have started a company like this. So I was very surprised and pleased that I was the first African American, male or female, solo founder to launch a sports drink company. So we're excited about it.
Man, okay. Before I go back to that, please tell the people who you are. Who is Fran Harris? What is she all about?
Wow. Well, that's a long story, but I grew up in Dallas, Texas. Played basketball for Coach Gary Blair, who was your coach. That was my first coach in high school. I didn't start playing basketball until I was in the 10th grade. Y'all know that's pretty old to start playing basketball, but Gary Blair was my first coach and was an amazing coach. Great introduction for me to get to the game of basketball. Then I went to the University of Texas, full scholarship, played at Texas on a national championship team. Had a tremendous career there, only lost 9 games in my 4 years at Texas, and went on to win the national championship my senior year with a 34-0 record. So had another great career there. And then there was no WNBA when I got out of college. So we had to go overseas to play. Not too bad, too shabby. I played in Italy and Switzerland and traveled the world, got that opportunity. And then just as I was getting ramped up in Switzerland, the WNBA started, the ABL started. And then the WNBA started, and I was fortunate to play on the Houston Comets' first championship team in 1997. So I got a high school championship with Gary Blair. I got a national championship with Jody Conrad. Then I got a WNBA championship with Van Chancellor, and of course some great players in Cynthia Cooper and Tina Thompson and Cheryl Swoops. So I've had a very charmed basketball career.
Man, all you do is win.
All I do is win, no matter
That's
what.
right. That's right. That's right. So that's what we're about to do with this drink. We're about to win with this drink.
Listen. That's what we're planning to do. You know, the great thing is people, when I launched Electra, y'all, people were like, "Are you kidding me? Are you crazy? Why would you launch a sports drink when there's Gatorade, there's Powerade, there's Body Armor?" And I say this for people out there who are starting their companies or running their companies, trying to figure out where you fit in. You got to find the white space in the marketplace, right? So if I was just, concocting another sports drink that was really going to go head to head with those three, that wouldn't be the smartest thing. So we had to find a lane that wasn't overpopulated. And that lane was healthy, better for you, highly functional, premium. Premium means you're never going to buy my drink for $1 or $1.20. It's probably never going to be that way until we scale to a much higher level. So you're going to have to pay a little bit more to put something better into your body. But when people ask me why I started the sports drink, I said because there was an opportunity to create something better, even though the big titans in the space are far and far ahead of us in terms of the category.
Wow, man, you just said so many gems that can relate to anything that you want to do. You said find the white space. Find where you can be valued and stay in your lane. That's the focus. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
But look how many bread. There's how many loaves of bread, types of bread. You just gotta find, don't let, because there are a lot of them out there. They're not going to do it the way Fran Harris is going to do it. So go out there and excel.
Yeah, go out there and you got to know what's out there, because it's not like I started Electra without any knowledge of Gatorade and Powerade and Body Armor. I studied them. I respect them. I'm watching them because they've done a lot of the hard work for starting a sports drink company. So instead of seeing people as competitors, I see them as mentors. I really do. I see those companies as companies that have done exactly what I want to do. I'm just in a different lane. And
Wow.
and so there are things I can learn from them. In fact, I did when I started, doing the research for Electra. I'm talking about pages and pages online, the bookmarks of what Gatorade, Powerade, and Body Armor has done and how they did it. And I was like, okay, I can borrow that. Okay, I can borrow that, and then I can do what I need to do in my lane to make sure that Electra, has its own way. And the first thing I did was to make it look different, right? So what you'll notice that now this is a family show, but this is really what happened when I was in R&D, research and development on Electra. My designer and I were looking at, we were like, okay, it's got to look different. It doesn't need to look like what's out there. And so what I found out is that like the sports drink, when I started to go take pictures in grocery stores, y'all, most sports drinks, and y'all go look at this when we get off here, store, most sports drinks bottles look like penises.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I never thought of it.
You're not lying, but you're not lying. I can visualize it right now. Facts.
Yes, they do.
Wow.
And y'all, listen, that's not, and I'm laughing about it, but that's not an accident. So those sports drinks are very much catered toward men. So if you look at Gatorade, the bottle does look like a penis. If you look at Body Armor, it does look like a penis because those are for men. And if you look at Body Armor, look at the design of the sleeve. It's a tie. It's literally a tie.
Oh, man, you got me looking at things differently. Wow.
But basically, that's the degree to which I went in terms of my research, because you are trying to conjure up images for your audience. And men, the bottle is wider because men have bigger hands, like all of that. So my bottle is sleeker, slimmer. Yeah. Why? Because it is a better for you. Women are going to pick up this bottle more than men are.
Yeah.
That's not an accident. So anyway, I'm doing a whole master class on branding and that kind of stuff. But I did just want to say that because I know people who are listening to your show are entrepreneurs and they need to figure out, how do you stand out sometimes in a very crowded marketplace?
Wow, man, the gems you just dropped there. You've done the research and development. Then you're having a master class. When is this master class?
I know, right?
Like all of that was the whole part of me running Electra has been one big master class. It has been the level of learning and the level of discovery and the level of lessons has been off the charts. Just when we were putting her together, and I call her, like, when we were putting her together because it is targeted toward women, we were like, what do women like? Women like fashion. So we had to make sure like this is like, felt like, it's like something that a woman would wear. All of those little psychological things went into it, and the bottle to fit our hands are smaller in general than guys. Yeah. Right. The white of the label, you go into a sports drink, it's more colors that are like black and dark and those kinds of things. I went light because I want a woman to, when she sees this on the shelf, to pick this thing up. So that was fun. All of that was fun.
Hey, we pray and we ask, God for us and the universe for anybody else that doesn't agree. But Fran, we pray that when we speak to our guests, that is edifying to the people. And I'm telling you, every time we come on, our guests, you just drop another gem. Like you're feeding the people the knowledge. Now they got to go out there and do their research for whatever niche they have. But what you brought to the people is just like, ooh, people pay for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope people do. There's so much free information online, but all free information ain't valuable information. Right. And so when people give you things like from the trenches, right? That's why when athletes go speak to other athletes, that's why it's so riveting for them, because we've walked in the sneakers that they walk in. And they know this is not somebody just talking about whatever. This is somebody who's been where I've been and who's been where I want to go.
Man, that's awesome. So this takes me into the next question. What led to your crossover? Because you could have easily stayed in the game of basketball for sure, coaching, broadcasting, because you did broadcasting for sure. But what led to the crossover into entrepreneurship?
So I knew really early. I've always played on great teams. I mean, I went through my basketball career. My South Oak Cliff School, my sophomore year, we were 40-0, and I'm talking about that wasn't because of me. Those girls, that was my first year playing. Those girls were amazing. 40-0, they were like a college team. And so I always surrounded myself with really great players and great teams. So I always knew, hey, listen, you're not going to always get all the awards. You're not going to always get all American, you're not going to do, because you're surrounded by greatness. The greatest trip you can be on is to be on a great team and to always be expecting that people are going to recognize you. Then your team is not that great if people are not having a hard time figuring out who to give all tournament to. Right. Yeah. And Takara, you know what I mean, right? Like one of the things that media had a hard time with my teams, whether it was high school or college, or was like, I don't even know who to give this to. This team is so great. And that was intentional. I could have gone to schools where I could have scored all the points, been the superstar. And so for me, the crossover came really early at my acknowledging, I'm on a great team. I'm not going to get to shoot all the balls. I'm not going to get to score all the points, but I'm going to vie for championships year after year at every level. I'm going to vie for championship. And that's transferable to life after. So I was already thinking about life after early because I knew, first of all, there was no WNBA when I came out of high school or college. And so I was already thinking, you're going to have to figure out what else you can do and what you want to do and what brings you joy, because you're not a guy. Let's face it. My brothers had different options than I had. And so it was really very evident to me. And I wasn't afraid to go, okay, I'm going to play basketball for however long I decide to play basketball. And then I'm going to do something else. So I need to figure out early on what that something else could be. And I found that out very early in my life, mainly because I didn't start playing basketball until later. So I was already good at other stuff. Right. And that's what people don't realize. Like on one hand, I was like, dang, I started playing, late. I'm behind the 8 ball. But on the other hand, I already knew I was smart because I hadn't played any sports. The only sport I played was academics. I was already speaking in church. So, and I didn't realize that was my crossover until, I started playing basketball, and then they started asking us to come and speak and things like that. And I already had those skills. So it was somewhere in there, but it became more intentional the older I got.
Man, preparation. And when you speak of intention, man, that's so key with business too, because in anything you do, you have to be intentional or you'll be all over the place.
Yep. For sure. People talk about manifestation a lot. And for me, intention comes before that. What you intend for my life. I have a book that I wrote called The Intentional Millionaire. And on the front in the first 2 pages, it says, what I intend for my life is already happening, and that just came to me. Like, that was the affirmation that I wrote for the book. But when I thought about that, because we're always intending something, we don't even realize that we are in intention when we are doing the things that we're doing. We have subconsciously at some point said, this is what I'm going to do, or this is not what I'm going to do. And so when I tell people, like, how do you know, when people say, well, how do you set your goals? I go, I don't set goals. That's not the first thing I do. The first thing I do is to get clear on my intentions. That's in relationships. That's in, business relationship, personal relationships, money. What are my intentions? So my intention is to be wealthy. Okay. What does wealth mean? Because we got to define all of that. And so for me, that's intentionality. It's not just saying, I want to be rich one day, or I want to play in the WNBA one day. No, I want to play. I said, I want to play in the WNBA on a team that's in Texas. And that's exactly what I did.
There we go.
Right? Like, it could have turned out a lot of different ways, but because I got quiet and got clarity about my intentions, then things worked out almost exactly the way I wanted them to.
Man. When our guests say, you better speak. That's right.
Yeah. We don't realize if we're going to stick with kind of money, we don't realize how much what has shown up or not shown up in our life is a function of our intentions. We don't realize that. We think a lot of us think that stuff just happens to us, or that, God wanted me to. No, God gave you the fullness of the earth. So if you're not enjoying the
you
fullness
focusing?
of the earth, that's on you, boo. Like
Yeah.
you've been given everything. And if you're not enjoying it, you better check your intention, right? Then you got to check your behavior, and you got to check your follow through. So
Ooh,
there is absolutely nothing you
Follow through.
can't have if you don't start with the intention of what you want to create in your life.
man.
Well, the Bible tells us to write that vision and make it plain, right?
Absolutely.
So you gotta
Absolutely.
make it plain and see it and be intentional about making it
That's
happen
right.
for you.
That's right.
Ooh, man, the gems.
Yeah. I mean, something I took from you, Fran, which I always live by as an athlete. I never wanted to be known as just an athlete. Like that was, and I'm talking about as a young athlete. I was just like, I just don't want to be known as this dumb job. Like they just look at me. She's just a basketball player. No,
Right.
way more than just a basketball player. And I was playing since I was like 11, 12, but I just didn't want to be known as an athlete. And so I always worked to be different. I always worked to excel at, not just being a basketball player, but other things in life. So that's a great thing that you said. Like you had other intentions or other things that you were focused on, and you had more avenues other than just basketball. I mean, you happen to be great at basketball, but you were great at other things as well.
Yeah. I mean, so many people don't know what they would do. I've spoken at Final Fours, and I'll ask coaches, how many of you, by show of hands, if you could not coach, already know what you would do? It's like less than 10% of the people raise their hand, because most athletes fall into careers. They don't plan careers. Now it's different now because there are greater economic opportunities and that kind of stuff. But honestly, there's a huge proportion of people who are coaching right now who are coaching because they don't know what else they would do.
Wow.
And that's hard for them to hear, but it's true. I mean, I'm talking to 600 coaches at a Final Four a few years ago, and I'm like, okay, if I said you couldn't coach today, what would you do?
They have no clue.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue.
So tell the audience about how did basketball and everything else that you've already dropped on us, how did that help you when it came time to come on to Shark Tank? Because Shark Tank to the average person is intimidating. That panel is intimidating.
Yeah.
I watched that episode of you, and I'm telling you, you handled them like a G. Like you talked to them like they work for you. So talk to us about that.
Oh my God, that is such a great question. First of all, sports, you show up at in the moments when your backs are against the wall. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And sports prepare you for that. You don't come out of the womb being, cooler than the other side of the pillow. I don't care what anybody tells you. You do not. You learn to handle yourself under pressure. And so one of the things I learned as a basketball player early in my career, I would defer because I was such a team player. So literally I'm scoring all the points, but then all of a sudden I'm letting other people, in crunch time score all the points. And I had to realize that, no, it's okay to be a team player. It's okay to want to share the ball. But when the game is on the line, you got to make the best decision for your team. And sometimes the best decision is you showing up a certain way. So for Shark Tank, it was the culmination of just years of being under bright lights. It's of years of, like Michael Jordan says, I've taken a lot of shots, game-winning shots, and I've missed some of them, but I've also made some of them. And so it prepared me for that moment where they were doing everything in their power to break me. That's what they do. That's what they do on television. Like they're not being mean. They want a good show. And for television, a good show is tears, it's anger, right? Because it's dramatic. That's why.
Emotion.
So I was like, the whole time I was like, I'm not getting into that. There were so many questions they were asking me that could have gone and really flustered me, but I was just in control of that interview. And I was like so my segment was actually maybe 40 minutes, but you only see like 10. That's how it is. Some people are in there really longer, but it could have been hours if I had followed every, thing they threw out at me to try to get me to, crack, try to get me to crack. And I was like, okay. I literally, sometimes they were like, well, what about this? And what about this? And I was like, well, that's not really relevant here, blah, 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 blah. And I just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move to the next thing. But there was something that happened at Shark Tank because the lights are so hot. There was one point where I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden, like I almost fainted because it was so hot. So it's hot, and there's adrenaline. So there's adrenaline and euphoria and heat. And so it explains why people do some of the things that they do. But that was the only thing that happened. But the interview itself was pretty straightforward. I was having fun with them because I was laughing at them trying to crack me. Like they were throwing out all kinds of objections. And I was just like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not gonna even address that, and I just kept the conversation in the direction that I wanted to go in.
Man, that I'm telling you, because think about it. We're talking about it's people going on the show asking the panel to invest in their product.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, Fran, like own these people. Like she already talking to them like, no, you kind of work for me. This is what we gonna do. Like I'm telling you, could tell they was trying to trip her up, and she's just like, no, this is what it is right here. Like boom, she would hit him with a stat. Like boom, no, this is what it is. So every time I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And you know what else? What most people don't know is that on most shows, if it's a really high budget show, they have you see a psychiatrist. Like they had to see a psychiatrist after the show, right?
Wow.
Because think about it, you're so high or you're so low. Yeah. And so people are really, really manic or they're really depressed. And so as soon as you leave the show, you meet your sharks, like you meet their team, and then they're like, "Oh, we love you," blah 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 blah, and then you go immediately to a psychiatrist.
to balance you out, to make sure.
Yes.
Yes.
And
you
so,
need to do something crazy.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like your life, your business is about to change. You know that, so you're just boom, you're just so high. So they're just talking to me, and they're like, "You seem cool. You good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like I was like. Either way, whether they had said yes or no, I mean, we gonna handle what we got to handle. So I was like, no, I'm good. And then I left. But there were some people there that shot the same day that I did. That they were just, it's a good thing they have a psychiatrist on board. Yeah.
And so the audience knows the Sharks told her yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think she has a great, to me, a unique niche. So I would definitely think it was something to invest in.
Yeah.
So Fran, you've experienced success in so many different levels. Like we said, you all you do is win, win, win. And the great and late Kobe Bryant always said that there's a thin line between confidence and cockiness. Mm-hmm. How do you remain humble in this process?
I think confidence, cocky, and arrogance, that's in the eye of the beholder. Ooh. Right? So I don't decide whether y'all can say what that's based on you, right? Mm-hmm. You see someone the way you see the world. And so I've never gotten into people who are like, you're so cocky, or man, I love that confidence, or you're arrogant. Because believe me, I've heard all three of those. And every time I hear those, I'm like, well, they ain't got nothing to do with me. I mean, you have an issue with people, whether they're black or black women or athletes or smart or, whatever the words are, who are a certain way. So if you're triggered by me, that's your stuff. That's not my stuff, right? Yeah. And so for me, confidence in the world as a black woman is my ace. Like it is the only thing that's going to get me through this world, because you got stuff coming at us. The assault is coming at us in so many different directions, from so many different directions, and from so many different people. And so that's one thing that I'm glad my mother really instilled in me, was my belief in myself. And it kept me out of trouble. Like sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're just so direct. And I'm like, I'm direct because my mother was a no nonsense woman. And so I couldn't do some of the things that other people could do, not because I was so strong, but because my mama wouldn't let me. So it gave me a confidence to say no about stuff that maybe if I'd had a more permissive mother, I would have been off into some more things. But like she was like, no, you're not doing that. And I was like, well, everybody else doing that. Well, I'm not their mama, and you're not doing that.
Right.
So it gave me, it really laid the foundation for my voice. And I thank her for that. I didn't realize how important that would be until I became an adult. But again, that's all from my mother, and then me just developing a sense of who I was and feeling good about who I was.
Man, that's awesome. Man, whew. And we can't let you leave before talking about real estate development, because you are a
Yep.
real estate developer.
Yep.
Again, you're winning in that arena. That
Yep.
arena is male dominant for sure.
Woo.
Yeah.
White boy.
You
White boy. I love my white boys, but that's white boy. That's a white boy space. Yeah, for sure. And congratulations to you on moving in that space. I love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see all the stuff that you're going to be able to develop over the years. But yeah, that is, you want to talk about wealth building. Listen, everybody's got this story in their family where somebody white took land from them, their grandparents, their great grandparents, right?
Mhm.
And we all have that story. But think about how much that sets you back, because real estate is the great wealth developer. It's it. And
Yeah.
so if you don't own land or companies or buildings or plots or whatever, it's very difficult for you to build great wealth. Now you can own businesses and build it that way, because a lot of wealthy people have done that. But one of the things that's easier to own even before you start businesses is land. And that has to be ingrained in us. So yes, so my family, like your families, had land taken from them or whatever. And I remember hearing that story when I was really young. And I remember thinking, when I get older, when I get some money, because that's what we used to say when we were little, when I get some money, I'm gonna own some land. I'm gonna own whatever. And fortunately, my oldest brother Alonzo got involved in real estate when he was in his 20s. He was buying houses because he's just very entrepreneurial. And I didn't know what he was doing, but I heard the conversations. And so you know how seeds are planted into your brain with the conversations you hear in your house and stuff. And I remember just asking him a little bit about, he had bought a dollar house. And so he had started flipping. I didn't know that's what that was. So little by little, I got involved in residential real estate. I did not understand. I want people to hear this. I did not understand what flipping was, what all that was, but I understand math. And I understand if I give you $2,000 for a deal and you give me $4,000 back, that was good business. And that's what I did. I did not understand, and I did not care. I was like, people were coming to me for money because I had money. I'm like, okay, well, how much? Well, give me 2,000, and by next, in 90 days, I'm gonna give you 5,000 back. I can math, so I'm like, okay. The mathing was working out for me, so that's how I got started in real estate. And then my brother was like, you need to learn how to develop. And I was like, what is develop? Didn't know the terminology, but I was always curious. I was always like, let me learn, let me understand. So I started developing. And then started buying property. Again, I want everybody here, I'm still not a PhD in real estate. You don't have to be a PhD in real estate to make the math work. And then in my 30s, maybe late 30s, I started to become interested in commercial real estate, because I started to see that's where, if you own gyms and bank buildings and stadiums, that's a whole different level of wealth. So I started to become very intentional about commercial real estate. So fast forward, we're opening our first facility. It was a $30 million facility. It's now a $40 million facility right outside of Dallas. Right outside of Dallas. The fields and the turf open this fall, and then the hardwoods open next spring. And that's my first facility. And then we have like 5 or 6 already in the pipeline in Texas. Most of them are in Texas. So
Jeez.
that's
Awesome.
it. That's a girl who came from parents who didn't finish high school. My dad didn't finish 8th grade. But the thing that is so persistent and so consistent in my family is that we're entrepreneurs. We are great human beings, because that is important. We haven't talked about that. Like, we're good people, and we're learners. We learn. We learn. We want to learn. We want to teach what we know, but we sit at the feet of people who know more than we do, and we let the masters teach us how to do stuff, and we don't have ego about it. We just keep getting paid and keep giving back.
Man, hold on. I gotta go back a little bit. The facility, and then you say you got 5 or 6 in the pipeline. So how big is the facility that you have coming to Dallas?
The fields are so it's like 4 baseball diamonds, and then you got the massive football combine training type stuff. I don't know what the dimensions are of that, but the hardwoods, we have a kind of like we call it like a smaller smaller field house. So it's like 3 regular courts and then 1 championship court. So that's this one. It's 4 courts. And then, so you can do volleyball, basketball, everything you do, pickleball, all that good stuff. But the cool thing about our facility, which is called the Athletic Club, is that we have a restaurant. My business partner is a restaurant guy. He's a baseball and a restaurant guy. And then I'm a fitness and a hardwoods, all the hardwood stuff, volleyball and basketball. But he's a restaurant guy. So we have a sports bar, which is, as you know, if y'all been in facilities with your kids or whatever, or coaching, that ain't happening. You're going to get a pizza and some hot dogs and, and a pretzel and some snow cones. But we actually have restaurants in our facilities. And so, again, going back to that, find the lane that nobody else is doing like you're doing and create some differentiation. And that's what we've done.
Whew.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm blown.
Got a broadcasting school. Just all kinds of really cool stuff. I want everybody here, like, take what your special sauce is and put it into a business, right? So for me, television, as Cara said, that's part of my background. So we have a broadcasting school. We have an Academy of Entrepreneurship. All the stuff that I'm good at, I don't know nothing about baseball. Y'all don't want me to know. I ain't trying to act like I know anything about baseball. I don't know anything about running a restaurant. But if you want to know about business and building wealth and real estate and broadcasting and I got you. And so partner with people so you can bring your genius to the project and contribute the thing that makes you special.
Man, and this is opening up, you said this fall and then the spring, right?
The fields open in the falls and the courts open in the spring.
When does the restaurant open?
That's a good question. It's in the building with the
hardwoods,
with the hardwood. So probably in the spring. But I think I know we're going to have food trucks and stuff. So with the outdoor stuff in the fall in Texas is going to be amazing. So we have a whole food court thing happening.
Oh, wow. So you're encompassing like the academic side of it, the sports side of it.
Yeah.
And then it seems like you have a component that with the food trucks, that's giving back to the community because you're giving them a space. Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Whew, congratulations. And you say you got 5 or 6 in the pipeline? Oh my.
Yeah, we got several in the Dallas area because the Metroplex is so huge. Right? It's so huge. So we actually have 3 in different areas that I'm talking to. I've already met with all 3 of them. I had a meeting last week when I was meeting with Hoop It Up at the Fair Park. Then I got introduced to them. So, and they're different because the great thing about the Athletic Club is that they're not like McDonald's. So they have to be the same in each community. They have to be tailored to the community. So there's one guy that I'm talking to about doing one in the Black community where I actually grew up, maybe 2 or 3 miles from where I grew up. And it's near college. It's been built up a lot, but that's going to look very different than the one that's in Sunnyvale, which is the one that we're opening in the spring. Right. So they all have the same feel. They all look like our buildings, but Black community, white community, same level of quality, but different amenities. Right. Maybe the Black folks want to play, maybe they want, a theater versus, a pickleball, whatever. I don't know. But those are the things when we go to the community and we go, what is needed here? What's going to make this feel like ours? Right. Yeah. So that's where we are with that now.
So you tailor it, you're looking to tailor it to the community's needs and not just build it and say, isn't this what you wanted? And so that's gonna make them have a bigger stakehold and ownership in it and be more likely to utilize the facility.
Absolutely. If you help people, if people own it, they have pride in it, right? They have pride in it. They, as you said, stakeholders. This is ours. They have a lot. They feel like, we have to take care of this because this was built with our feedback. This was built by us, which doesn't happen a lot, so it's really important that they understand that this is something that we curated together, not something we say, hey, here, take this. We know y'all need this. And so there y'all go do this. And, we know best and y'all know nothing. No, it's more of like, hey, do you guys want us to be here? That's the first thing that happens is really going to the community and saying, here's who I am. This is what we're thinking. What do y'all think? That's really how those conversations go.
Wow, man. Whew. You're doing it, Fran. You're doing it, Fran. And you know what? You're trailblazing the path, because I know even when I came out of the league, a lot of my teammates were like, how did you get into real estate? It goes back to what you said. They have no clue what to do once they stop playing their sport. Like, it's like they don't know what to do. So you are really trailblazing. And I don't think they're paying attention the correct way that they should be, because the things that you're doing, I pay attention. I pay attention to all your stuff. You know, even when you're Miss Roney on social media, I'm paying attention.
Pay attention to that. That Miss Roney has already gotten booked on shows.
No, get out. Okay, so wait, I'm sorry, because I jumped the gun. Can you explain to them who Miss Roney is and what Miss Roney does?
All right, so we've all got these characters in our churches. Let's face it, church is one of the most ridiculous places on earth. The characters, it just really is entertainment, comedy. And so there are some people in my church who were just hilarious. I used to imitate all the people in my church at my house. You know, my friends would be laughing about it. So for some reason, like in March, I was just bored probably. And I just went into one of my voices with one of my one of my brothers, and they just fell out laughing. So the next day I just did a video off the dome. I didn't plan it. I didn't pre-produce it. I just did church announcements. And honestly, Takara, all those things I said in those church announcements, I had never thought of those. I turned the camera on and I just started saying, hey, baby, my name is Miss Calderoni Baker. My friends call me Roni. And so people just,
Wait, you gotta tell the name of the church.
Oh my God. And I was like, boom. So I said, okay, don't get overboard. Don't do it every day, because you probably won't do it every day. So I just kind of took it to something like every Sunday, because we expect it. And then people started DMing me like saying, I can't wait till Sunday. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, tell them the name of the church that she's speaking.
Well, the name of the church is Greater New Jack City Baptist Church of God in Christ.
Right? Greater New Jack City. All right.
So every time I say it, people are laughing like, did you just say New Jack City? Did you just say Greater New Jack City? But yeah, I just created her because we all know those people in church who get to say whatever they want to say. And you'd be like, how is she getting away with this? So I totally just take it to the next level. Like I'm talking about people, and the pastor and his side chick. I'm talking about all the stuff that we think but do not say.
Yeah.
We will not say. We're thinking it, but we're not.
The whole motherboard. You know, the motherboard talking about it. They just
exactly. So literally, people started saying, "When can I book you?" In week 2, people started saying, "I want to book you." And so I do that honestly because it's hilarious, but also I think there are people who are watching who are like, I can do something. I could do something, whether it's that, whether it's singing, whether it's whatever. And I know that's happening, which is why I do it, because they may never like my post. They may never comment on my post, but they are seeing somebody not care what people are thinking about them entertaining and doing whatever. And it's unleashing something in them. And that's why I do it. But yeah, I've got like already 3 bookings.
That is wild, man. That is wild.
Takara, you were just talking about that. We were working on a Zoom today and speaking to people, and Takara was just talking about that. Like, just do it, just video it, just put it out there, the content out there, and it'll hit. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're so afraid of the silence. We're afraid of the if nobody likes it, if nobody shows up, if nobody says you're amazing, validates it or whatever. If I only have 2 followers. Once you get past that, not even to think about that. Don't even think about that. Just do it. Just do it. Because I'm amazed at how people are responding to stuff sometimes.
Yeah. And that's another way too, what I try to tell people with social media, you can monetize that stuff. If people are engaging with that, you're monetized. The group we're in, I will say stuff to them. They don't necessarily be responsive, but when I say, hey, my social media is monetized, they like, hey.
Everybody responds.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And what people don't realize, is exactly what you said. Like, I could care. It is not even possible for me to care less about how many followers I have on any platform. But what people don't know is when I do me, other opportunities show up. So
Absolutely.
I may have 100 followers, but I got 3 engagements. So I'm like, that's $5,000 or whatever it's going to end up being. And I got 100 followers. So you're out there thinking, oh, well, I don't have any followers. And I'm out there saying, put your talent out there, because it's the talent that sells.
Yep.
It's the connection. It's people who see it and they're like, this is what we need. This is whatever. And now you're monetizing in a whole different way if you stop focusing on the vanity metrics of followers and likes. I do not care about any of that. I care about transforming people's lives. That's why God put me here, to help us come up. That's one of the reasons, and to help people transform their lives. And so I do that. I can do that one on, one person, one of the 100 followers is changing their life. I'm rejoicing about that versus, wondering why somebody unfollowed me or why somebody's not following me. I don't care anything about that.
Man, whew, that is awesome. Carter, you have another question for her? I know, her time is limited. I don't want to keep her too long.
It's been, I hate to see her go.
A lecture.
Yeah, I hate to see her go, because she's not just speaking about her life. She's actually really inspiring people to think and how to generate income for themselves, and how they can change their lives. Because one, if you can do it, why can't the next person do it?
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
so that's one of the biggest things. Like, man, Fran, you have really been a blessing to the audience, to myself as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Get my mind, turning. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Carter, yeah, for sure. Carter, you got to take Fran through the hot cross zone.
Yeah. So, Fran, before you go, we have what we call the hot cross zone. The hot cross zone. You've done a lot of crossing over in your life, and you're still crossing people up. But we got 5 questions,
Okay.
5 questions that we're going to shoot at you really quick. So, number 1, what's your favorite food?
Italian. Rigatoni.
Rigatoni, you want cheese all over and everything?
I do.
No. All right, you want dessert or no dessert?
Oh, baby, all dessert. I'm gonna take this I'm gonna take this round middle with me to the grave probably, but I'm gonna have me some. What I'm gonna do is have some dessert. Yeah.
All right. So you played the game, at every level, and you've excelled at every level. So do you like to play fast or do you like to play slow?
Fast.
You play the fast game. You pressing. You putting the full court press on.
Yeah. I'm shooting. As soon as we can get the ball on offense, it's
shot clock.
Facilitate getting the ball faster on offense so I can shoot. Yeah.
The shot clock makes no difference.
That's right. That's right.
Point guard, because you play in the middle, like you play guard post, you kind of play in between, right? So, but would you pick the point guard, or you going with the post player? Who do you really need to have?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, what I like about post players is that they don't necessarily need to shoot. They just want to touch the ball. Am I right, Takara? They just want to touch it.
Yeah, they just need to touch it. Yeah.
Those point guards, sometimes they get a little into themselves, and they want to hold on to the ball, and they want to, wave you off and tell you, you're not open. So I'm not feeling them. I'm not feeling them at all. I'm gonna go with the post player for 500.
Hey, I think
I'll call for a screen. Hey, come get that screen.
Exactly.
I think we lose it. Hey, after Fran, I think the point guards we
losing? Oh no, yeah. I gotta go back. I think we still winning, man. I gotta go back. I think only her and Travis said post player. Everybody
knows. Remember Sylvia said post player,
but she being biased.
Totally.
All right, last question. Your Dallas Mavericks are still slightly in the hunt. Slightly, I say. But who do you pick in the NBA Finals? Who you think is going to be able to grab that coveted title this year?
Golden State and who are the Celtics playing?
Miami.
You say that?
They playing the Miami Heat. They playing the Miami Heat now.
Shots fired.
You see that, T?
I don't know that Miami has anybody but Butler. That's my thing. It's like, who else do they have? So I'm going with Golden State and Celtics.
All right. And who you think gonna get between if that happens? Who will the Celtics be able to handle all that firepower coming from Golden State?
Nah.
So
It's a no
ultimately,
for
you
me.
got Golden State.
It's hard to beat a team that has as much joy, fun as Golden State, and they go down the court and just shoot like they never get tense. Like to have such an open policy of scoring makes them score really well. And so I think it's hard to beat a team like that because first of all, the opponent realizes, we don't have 9 guns. We got 2 guns. And they're like pew pew.
Harlem Night. Harlem Night.
They're not even, like a 9 or a 38. They're like pew pew. Like we don't have 9 guns. So I'm going with Golden State for the championship.
Yeah, I do. I love what you said though. They have such freedom and they look like they're having so much fun. They never get tense and tight about anything. And it doesn't matter to them who's the hot hand. It could be Clay, it could be Curry, it could be whoever that night. And so that really does make them fun to watch.
And they don't change who they are. You know what I mean? Think about it. We've all been on teams where, okay, when it's going well, we're shooting, we're whatever, and we feel good. But when they're not falling, they know who they are. Yeah. And that brings a lot of confidence. Their identity is what it is, and we're gonna go down with the ship, firing up 40-footers because that's what we do and that's who we are.
That's real. That's real. Fran, we're not gonna hold you. Yeah. I know you have other things, but thank you so much for coming on the show with us. Yeah. Man, I follow you. I look up to you, and I'm telling you, you setting the path. I'm following the blueprint. All right. I love to hear that. We got to do something together too. See, it's always got to go there. Like, I appreciate that. I receive that, and we need to do something together. All right.
Yeah, we definitely will. And we're going to get out to Dallas too. We got to get out there.
Cool.
See the feeling too.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Take care. Right, bye.
Man, listen, gems, fire. What else? What else can you say?
Great episode. I mean, another great episode. We've been blessed to bring on some amazing people who continue, to inspire the people. That they inspire the people that you can do this, and showing us all the things that they're able to accomplish, and with their lack of knowledge. But hey, I'm just gonna jump out there and I'm gonna do it. So I hope that everyone viewing, watching, listening, share it. Share this with others to be able to partake in and to get this information, but to act on it. Fran showed you, like, if I could do it, you can do it. And link up. If you're not sure how to do it, where to get started, link up with somebody who's doing it and get that information. That teamwork can make the dream work.
Yeah, and you can find her on social media, Fran Harris. Her website, Fran Harris. Like, she's very active, and I mean, it's just, you can get so much education just following her. The gems that she dropped about intentionality, being focused. Finding that space and then putting your individuality on it. Like, that's so major and that's so key. And I think people sometimes tend to forget, because it's like what we talked about today during our session. People are looking to the left at the other person versus focusing on their path and their journey.
Yeah. I want to shout out her book again, The Intentional Millionaire. So y'all take a look at that. We didn't get from her, Amazon, check Amazon, but where books are sold, I'm sure is there. The Intentional Millionaire. We can put that in the chat too, T.
Yep, I'll do that right now. Yeah, that is awesome. And look, we read. So guess what? That's on the reading list.
That's on the reading list. You're gonna add it to the reading list. That knowledge. So I mean, you have anything else for the people?
Listen, so he played tonight, right? He won Spencer's top 2. I know the team's pretty much banged up on both sides.
Very lopsided series in terms of one night, one team wins 25, the next night the other team beats you by 25. Who would have thought? Like, who knows? You don't know what to say. But hey, it's tied 2-2. Miami's back at home. So we'll see how this goes. Both teams are banged up, so we will see.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm pulling for my 305 boys, but we will see.
Yep, they got to come with it. And before we get out of here, definitely want to give an update on Brittany Griner. Bill Richardson stated that Brittany Griner will be coming home soon, and he has been the go-to and the primary hostage negotiator for the U.S. for many years. So that's good news to hear that Brittany Griner will be coming home soon. We don't know when, but soon is better than not knowing.
Right. And we want to appreciate you all who continue every week to tune in to the crossover. You know, Gary, Tanisha, Shelly, Kamisha, all of our faithful followers that continue to listen to us. We really appreciate it. You really want to show support for free, you can share this thing once we share it on your page and let other people take a look at it. So we appreciate that love. And
Yeah,
before we go,
you can find us on YouTube as well with the podcast. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the page. Make sure you let others know. It's called The Crossover on YouTube. You'll see our logo on there. Definitely do that. Share it for free. Subscribe for free.
Yeah, for sure. And you know how we do, T. Use the game. Don't let the game use you.
Already.
Till next time.
You know how we do. Guys, have a good night.